Alright, hey guys, Mirbo's TCG and I'm here to bring you a new video. So this video is going to be in regards to the 2022 tin of the Pharaoh's Gods. Basically new information has been released and I just kind of want to go over this information with you guys. So the main highlight of this is that there's going to be new artwork for Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, and Dark Magician Girl, which we already kind of knew about, and that's good to see, I guess. It's always getting reprinted, but that's not really what sticks out here. So here are the important reprints that are like highlighted here. Ghost Ogre is a nice reprint, but we kind of have a good amount of it. It's already pretty accessible, but this is going to make it a bit more accessible. Ash Blossom here is a card that definitely was in desperate need of a reprint, so seeing that in this list is great. Lightning Storm is another card that's definitely been needed of a reprint, and of course it's good that it's going to be in the set. Nibiru, not as much desperate need of a reprint, but it's still good to have. You always want to see these prices go down, make it more accessible to players. Droplet, $100. This is the infamous card that everybody's just kind of talking about. Droplet being $100, and if you want to play in any way competitively, you would need to have 3 copies of this. And then Dragoon, which is a really high value card that hasn't been used as much since the DPE came out, but it's definitely still like a really good card to have for most players that want to use it. And yeah, let's go over the prices here. So this is Ash Blossom. So Ash Blossom, you can see at its cheapest, it's still around $20. And this is for like a damaged copy. So it's still extremely expensive to see here, especially since Ash Blossom is like a 3 of in many decks. It's kind of that generic hand trap that you want to just add into a deck if you don't want to really like think about what other hand traps to run. And Lightning Storm here, you can see at its cheapest, it's $58, which is a lot. Really good card, especially needed right now, since there's a bit more back row because of Skill Drain and Mystic Mine. So having Lightning Storm would be extremely helpful, because Harpy Feather Duster simply isn't worth using in a lot of decks, just because that one slot for Spell Trap Destruction can be a brick a lot, because not a lot of decks run it. Like spells and traps and like focus around it, and having a card just for that isn't always great, but having Lightning Storm as a card that it's pretty flexible to use is nice. So definitely needed of a reprint there. Nibiru is not as desperate need of a reprint. As you can see, it's around $15, but having a reprint is nice. Hopefully it'll get it onto the $10 bar. Here we have Droplet, which you can see at its cheapest, $100, and yeah, you need 3 copies of this for a lot of decks. So seeing a reprint here definitely will be great. Here we got Dragoon. So Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. You can see that this is a Korean copy, but this is for a moderately played. Is $100, which is insane. Even though I haven't seen Dragoon been played as much, it's still a really good card to go into with Red Anaconda. And yeah, it's a really good card. It's a good generic card that can just be entered into a lot of decks. And having a reprint to make it more accessible for players is arguably good. I guess you don't want to, if people are going to play it anyways, and just try to reduce the pay cap for it. So here is for Blazing Vortex. So these are some cards that stuck out to me. So the reason I brought up Blazing Vortex is because Blazing Vortex is one of the sets that is being reprinted, or one of the set that a lot of cards that are popular from these sets are going to be reprinted. So yeah, these are the sets that are mainly highlighted here. It does say so Blazing Vortex, Lightning Overdrive, Dawn of Majesty, Burst of Destiny, and more. So this might include some side sets, possibly Synchro Storm, Baron the Floor. Would be nice to see, but I guess we'll just have to see if that is the case. So yeah, let's just go straight to like Blazing Vortex and some cards that are definitely there to be highlighted. So here, Pot of Prosperity was the premiere of this card. It has not been printed since then, and it's a $100 card that has been used a lot in play. It's a really expensive card. Definitely has to be reprinted. Pot of Extravagance has gotten a few reprints now, and it's gotten to a more accessible price with $10. But this is still a really good card, and seeing a reprint of this is gonna help a lot. And I think it's still gonna be relatively expensive, probably at like a $50 per copy, depending on like how it gets reprinted. But I can still see it being really expensive, but it's gonna be more accessible. Here, another card from Blazing Vortex that stands out is Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This is where she was premiered. It's a solid card that I've seen recommended in many decks. The only thing is, you know, this card was kind of expensive. It used to be pretty expensive. I remember it being a lot more expensive than this, so it's gone down in price a bit. But it's still expensive enough that it deserves a reprint. So this is great to see. So if you guys are a fan of this card, then it's great to see. Lightning Vortex cards that stood out to me were I'll be on the branded dragon. So this card, it's about $20 per copy. You can get it here for 16. Still a good reprint. Diviner of the Herald has not been reprinted since Lightning Overdrive, so it's a $50 copy card. You know, that's a relatively high price to pay for a card. It's an important deck in a lot of ritual decks, and by a lot I mainly mean Drytron. But yeah. And Ready Rose Dragon, this is another card that has been used in Sword Soul. It just banishes all cards from the grave. Pretty good card, and has been going kind of high up there with price. So $15 per copy, seeing that go down a bit, it's definitely nice. Yeah. And here for Dawn of Majesty, cards that stood out to me were Alibert, the Jester, Despia. You know, this card is $100, $114. So seeing it reprinted here would be really nice. I'm sure it will be reprinted here. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Get it down to at least under $50 per copy. It depends, of course, like how these cards are printed and what the cards rarities, like what card rarities are chosen here. Of course, it's gonna be a lot of like not so great cards within like these sets, but you know, I'm hoping that Alibert gets in there. So for Burst of Destiny, an obvious one that stood out to me was DPE. So Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. This card has been infamous already for the short period that it's had in the TCG, and yeah, it's only been really accessible to players that could afford to buy it. So hopefully, if it gets reprinted here, I'm wondering how like effective it's gonna be once we get a new ban list, but I can see it like lasting for a bit longer before it gets any like considerable hit. It has Fusion Destiny has been semi-limited, but really that hasn't been extremely impactful. Here we have Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous. So Ecclesia is $40 per copy right now. Really good card for Sword Soul. It's still a really expensive card if anybody wants to play Sword Soul. It also has uses with Fallen Valbest, and since the structure deck is coming out, this is going to be a great addition for anybody that wants to play it. So hopefully this will get to a more accessible price if it gets reprinted. Smart World is an interesting card that I've seen played in various decks. I've seen it in Madoche, and it's kind of just a deck that like lets you search out any monster from your deck, depending on if you're able to like banish the right card. So for Madoche, for instance, they usually banish Pancratops from their deck in order to search out any of their Madoche monsters. So it's a really useful card that seems kind of confusing to understand in the beginning, but if you find out like how to use it, it has a lot of uses, and it can be used in various decks. Here we have Lord of the Heavenly Prison. So this is a card that I really want to see reprinted. If you guys have seen my Paleo deck profile, I think I might have mentioned it there. But this card is great for protecting your back row, and for Paleo that's like weak to Lightning Storm and what's it called? Harpy's Feather Duster. This is going to be great to have as a form of protection and as a beater that you can just get out relatively easy with just 3,000 attack, which is nice for that type of deck. And here we have Sword Soul of Moye. So Moye, if you're playing Sword Soul, you know that this card is relatively expensive. It's gone down in price, as you can see, but it's still decently expensive here. So seeing that reprinted would be really great. And here we have MPEM. So MPEM has kind of been stable in price for a bit, but it's as Flandreese has been going up and been more successful with tournaments and stuff, this card has been demanded to be used more, and yeah, seeing that reprinted would be really nice because I think Flandreese are pretty cool. I can see them potentially getting hit in the future, depending on how successful they continue to be, but for now I think they are a great contender deck. And yeah, so here are like the ratios for 3 prismatic secret rares, 6 ultra rares, and 6 super rares. So hopefully we get these cards in a lower rarity, but I can see them probably being secret rares and ultra rares. Ultra rares are typically like the most expensive cards in the set, which is interesting enough. But yeah, I can see them probably just being secret rares and ultra rares, at least for the ones mentioned. But yeah, that's pretty much the update for the 2022 Tints of the Pharaoh's Gods. Are you guys looking forward to the reprints? What cards are you guys like hoping for that they mention and that they actually get printed here? And yeah, just let me know if you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.